Hi, this is Maheshwari, and in this video, we're going to take a look at a very interesting design process. So, one thing that as design students that you need to understand is that design doesn't uh, work inside a computer, right? Design is beyond that. Design is beyond any tool that you're using currently. Design is way beyond Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, or any tool that you're using currently. So when you're starting to think uh, within the constraints of a tool, what it lets you do, or what it actually does, is that it limits your creativity. You will be starting to think, or you will be starting to consider the limitations of the tools that you know, and that will limit your design, right? At the end of the day, every design is going to look the same. So if you want to break that redundancy and try something new, think beyond your tool, right? So start visualizing things or start using tools which are beyond the scope of your computer. So I'm going to show you a very small example that might inspire you to approach your next design project. So what we have here is a very simple text that I have created in Canva. So in an A4 sheet, I just typed these words, very basic typography, and I also have a small caption to go along with it on a second page. What I did was I took a printout of it. So I got a printout of these two sheets. And what I did after that was I started playing around with these two printouts that I have, right? So I started placing them together. I started, turning on my iPad and use it as a source of light to see through the two and create a blending mode, a physical blending mode. I also tried sort of playing around with the title graphic by folding the paper, create a texture and a depth to the text, and I've clicked photographs of it. And now that we have all those things ready, let's see how you can actually use it as an element in your design. So I have all the photographs that I've clicked on my computer right now. I have just taken everything into the system, and we have all of that right here. So you can see that there are a couple of image files that I have that I shot with my iPhone. And yeah, that's more than enough right now. So what we are going to do is we're going to just play around with this. So let me create a new document in Photoshop. So I'm going to go here, open Photoshop up. Let's create a new file and just use A4 here. So we have this right now in our workspace. Good. Right. So I'm going to import the photographs that we just clicked. So let's go to downloads and let's take the photograph. Let's play with one first. Let's see how it comes together. So I'm going to take maybe this particular photograph. Let's click place and it is coming right here like this. So I have this here. It's a photograph right now. It's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rasterize the layer first. Let's rasterize this so that I can now play around with these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a rough crop of this. So I just need the text. I'm going to layer where cut this and I'm going to delete the background layer. I just need this right now. And we can again try to sort of simplify this selection. So I'm going to just take the lasso tool and I'll select what I basically need, right? Only the area. So it's still very rough, or you don't have to be very precise with this selection right now in this case. So I'm going to just use it like this and layer where cut this again, and you can delete the empty background. Now what we can do is we can basically play around with this, and you can see that there is a beautiful texture that we have in the text, which is not possible if you're actually creating this digitally, right? Because there is the decompression, or the sort of quality loss that happen in the printer. You can actually see that, and that creates a beautiful texture here. There's a little bit of depth in the text because of the folding that we have done. It's a really interesting character that is basically coming here, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to basically take the color values and I'm going to try and make it, the background sort of blend with our original background. So I'm going to raise up, I'm actually using the levels here. I'm just playing with the levels in here. So we have a pretty interesting, effect right now for this poster, yeah, maybe whatever we are creating. So there are a couple of patches that we might need to adjust, like, we got the background clear, but at the same time we have some crumbles of the paper, and we don't want that. I mean, you can definitely retain it, but I really don't need it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the eraser tool and basically just erase these portions that I don't need, right? So I don't need any sort of data from the paper. I just need the text to be there. So I can just brush out these additional unwanted details that I got in the photograph. So I'm just going to slowly erase those portions. I think we are good to go. Right, so it looks good. Right, we have this now, and so we have the caption also. Now what you can do is you can actually pair this. You can take this and you can basically pair it with the a real typography. So if I want to actually pair this with some normal bunch of text, I can do that, right? So it is a really good pairing where the typography, the main typography or the heading typography is sort of weird, right? And the subheading sort of works like this, and we have some body text or whatever it is. So let's create that also, like now. So I'm going to select the text and I'll create 2 columns here. Let's change the typeface to something very, very simple. Okay, let's release the type. Okay, I think this works. I'm going to duplicate this to create that column. Okay, so we have it, and I can maybe bring the heading a little to the right. So this is what we have, right? So we have a main heading and a very interesting layout for something which actually talks about this. It works really well, right? So rather than having a very normal mundane title, we have something which works like this: design beyond tools. Right. So it's a really interesting way to break your design and give it a very organic look. It is something very experimental, but all the same, it works. So let's try and do something else here. We will try and change the color of the whole design. So I'm going to just try and do it with a little bit of red. So let's try if that actually works. So bring in the red element right here. And let's take the first layer and multiply it. So it actually works, right? So it creates a very interesting effect here on red. I can also invert it if I want. So I can just control I and it creates an inverted texture here. And all I have to do is just screen it and it creates a very interesting texture for my design, and it works. It looks really, really cool. So this is what I was talking about. Since it's an image, you can now play with the arrangement of it. I'm going to make it a little bigger. So just play with it like this so we can still see the content, and it basically, yeah, cool. So it works, right? It's a very interesting layout that we created, and we can do much more stuff with it. So if we have more images, so let's say if I have one more image that I want to just play with, so I have one other image that I've created where it has the subtitle also. So I'm going to bring that into Photoshop. Let's bring it to Photoshop. We have this element right here. So let's take it very, very casually. Maybe you can try and include the shadows as well. So it's going to take that. It's going to go right like this, go here. I'm again not making a very, very serious selection, just something very rough. So I have that. I'm going to bring that into our existing design like this. So see, we still have that effect here. We still have the shadow and all those stuff. And we have this here. So what we need to do is we need to sort of fix it so that it fits in here. Now, if I just change the blending mode to multiply, everything is going to go away. But I just want to keep that white charm there. So what you can do is you can just manually come in and you can play around with this white, right? So you can basically remove only this area of white, right? So the easiest way to do that is to make a rough selection near the shadow. So I'm just going to go straight until the edges, wherever that white shadow thing is coming. And that. Now, The selection is inside right now. So right click to inverse the selection. So have it right now. And now what you can do is you can layer via cut this. So the shadow is in a different layer right now, but we still need the shadow to be there, but with multiply applied to it. So I'm just applying multiply effect there. So it sits perfectly, right? So a very simple technique, right? And it looks really, really cool. So now you can maybe merge this together or maybe group it together. So that is the sub heading. Okay, looks pretty cool. And maybe bring this below the layers. So a pretty interesting style of design here, right? Looks very organic, but at the same time, it actually follows a lot of design disciplines, right? So it works. And so this is how you can break your design in a good way and, you know, start to think outside the computers, right? You can still see these sort of like, you know, very interesting damages to the texture, and it is a very interesting feel, right? So that's it for this video. I hope you understood the point of this video and tried to expand your horizons by experimenting with the design. And I wish you all the best. Thank you. I'll see you with another video soon. Bye-bye.